All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani, and this is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin.
There we go.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think we're getting it. I think it's starting to happen, dude.
I was thinking, Reg, you shared this podcast with your supporters on the Facebook and stuff, and you mentioned about how we talked about voting rights, the vaccine, and our jobs, but you never mentioned my canker sores. Like, I mean, that was a big
Oh,
part of
that's
it.
right. I do. I swear to you, when I was putting it up there, I was like, I'm forgetting something.
You
I
just
was
don't
like, I'm
want to
forgetting
gross
something.
out your audience.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead with that next time. That's gonna be my through line. It's like, hey, check out Spitballing where we talk about some of the most important topics of the day, specifically Sal Kalani's canker sore and his what do you say, benzene? What's it called?
Benzocaine. Stay away from
Ben,
benzocaine,
his
everybody.
benzocaine that chops up the inside of his mouth.
Oh,
You
it's
gotta love it,
bad. I'm
folks.
so good now. I forgot
Have
to
you been
say
worried
that.
about canker sores? Good.
I remembered something about it. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Oh, of
That
course,
one
of
day when I
course.
was in such pain, I read this thing that there's this new technology
Okay.
to cure it, and it's a laser, a red. It's a little pen, like, and it's a red laser, and you're supposed to point it over, and it cuts the healing in half. It says, and you only put it on there for 30 seconds. Now,
Really?
yeah, now the laser
But
costs
wait, how long?
$320.
Are you serious?
$320, dude.
Well,
And then I was like, and then in that moment of pain, I was like, "Oh, should I get it overnight? Get it here?"
no. We've already
No,
discussed
so
this. Well,
well,
hold on,
so
hold on. I
then
gotta
I
ask you this.
go
Let me ask
ahead.
you this. Keep that thought. How long does it take for a canker sore to heal? Since you
10
weren't,
days. 10 days about,
so you're trying to say that for 300 and some odd dollars, you'd be happy if you got it down to five,
if it worked. Now it
if it
sounds
worked.
like a lot of voodoo mumbo jumbo, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Especially $320. So then I kept researching, and I
Okay.
found this report from a university in 2009, and they said as long as you point any kind of red laser at it for 30 seconds, like even like a cat toy, that it's supposed to have the same effect. Whatever these laser wavelengths that hit it is supposed to do it. So I forgot a couple nights I would take the cat's laser toy, open my lip, and start zapping it with this laser like an idiot. And I don't know, it probably didn't work because the shit really didn't go away. But I'll try
Okay.
anything, Reg. I'll try it once.
I see. I have to admit, I haven't had this level of experience with the canker sores, so I don't know your pain, but obviously it's intense enough that you're pointing cat toys in your mouth to try to figure it out. Right? Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to carterize this thing. So won't you just go old school, cowboy, western, metal on a fire and just, right? Bite down a
Brand
piece of wood.
myself.
Yeah, brand the inside of your mouth, bite on a piece of wood and just carterize your inside of your mouth, man. Or
Yeah.
or you could just do what I suggest, and that is wait.
Yeah, well, it's good. I'm
Right?
good now, dude. I'm good.
Okay.
I had sauce this week. I had anything spicy now, any fruits. I'm all good. Thank
Nice.
goodness.
I was gonna say I figured you were good when I saw online that you tagged me in it, so I had no choice but to see it. Um, but I saw
Maybe
that
we
you
can
made
just get
just
right into my sauce if you want.
yeah, I saw you made your sauce, man. I have to admit
So
what
go ahead.
I was gonna say I have to admit that I'm always impressed when people post every step of the process of doing something, right? It's like, this is me washing the pan, excited about my sauce. Here's me chopping up the veggies that are going to be in my sauce. Here's the
Did
pan I'm going
I
to use.
did I show any of me chopping veggies? I showed the
No,
pan. It was the first time for the pan. And when it's cooking, it's different because you want to show how to make it. I just gave you the whole ingredients pretty much,
pretty much, pretty much.
right?
And I have to admit, no, I have to admit that when was it 2 hours later, you said?
Yeah, yeah, and you go up to 4 hours really to make it. The longer you go, the better it gets.
Really? So what do you got against like ragu?
Nothing. I've used it many times but you always have to add stuff. You can't just have ragu. You got to
Okay.
start with the mirepoix, or as the Italians call it, I forget, the spiretto or whatever, but it's basically carrots, onions, and celery. You watch any
Okay.
diners, drive-ins, and dive, Guy Fieri's always talking to them, and them almost everything they start with, it's those three ingredients. Okay.
Okay.
I don't
I
know.
was gonna say I didn't know what you were talking about. Like I didn't know those words, so I was gonna just take your word for it, like straight up. I'm like,
I
that's
know, did you like how I looked that up just before, just to look kind of,
well, I feel like
educated on
this.
the matter?
If anybody had any debates about your authenticity of being an Italian, I think you cleared that up with those statements right there. Right? Like you can't dispute the fact that you're Italian when you say stuff like that. So I do
There's
not
something
watch.
about. Oh, go ahead, Reg.
I was just gonna say I don't watch those food shows. Like I
Oh,
really do. I really have no desire to watch other people eat food. And I get that people are excited about it. People love Anthony Bourdain was famous for going to different parts of the world eating people's food. Um,
it's not about watching them eat it. It's about watching them make it and learning about different foods. I don't care when Guy Fieri hunches over and eats a burger,
okay,
but
okay.
I am
But
interested. Oh, and
you're
I will say, I've gone to a couple places he said and recommended, and they were
okay.
always good.
Always good. Okay.
They're
All right.
bomb,
I
dude.
mean,
Like he goes to some good spots.
you're not influenced by his his opinion, thinking that it's good.
Well, he thinks everything is good. So, I mean, he's never on the show and goes, but to be on
Maybe he
that
would hold up
show,
though. But hold up though. Maybe he is, and they just don't show those. Right? Like
well,
maybe
I'm
they're
curious. I'm always curious how many times he burns his mouth.
I would love to see the outtakes. Just like,
Yeah.
God damn, this is he's just throwing food all over the kitchen. He's going crazy.
I mean,
Um,
but here's the thing: to get on that show, they have to be good because
right,
numerous people had to have recommended them by that point. So,
right,
no, it's
right.
yeah. I
It's
went to a
pop.
place
They're
over here.
popular. They're popular spots for sure. And I get it. Just so the rest of the people don't think that I'm stupid, right? Like I know it's not just I know it's not just like watching people eat food, right? I get
Well,
that
I
there is
don't
like,
like Man versus Food. That's what they do. They
see, I
just
don't
watch
watch that
that.
one.
Oh, it's gross. It's the epitome of what's wrong with America, where it's just some big old dude scarfing down enormous giants of food that could feed villages in third worlds, and he's just trying to finish it and
Oh
make these
wow.
records, and it's gross, dude. I don't want to watch
Yeah.
someone just
Well,
stuff in their
of course.
face.
But people watching that because they're wondering what's going to happen, right? Like what's going to be the effect? Like, will we see someone actually explode from eating too much food? You know what I
I
mean?
don't need to watch
Like,
someone puke.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like those hot dog eating contests where you just
Oh, disgusting. You ever watch those?
I have seen those, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's gross.
dipping the hot dogs in water or lemonade or
Oh,
whatever they like, and then
yeah.
soggy bread and just.
It's terrible. That's disgusting, dude. I could never. You'll watch that?
I don't watch it. I've
You like
seen it.
watch? You get there like before kickoff.
I was like, I get there early, go get my seat, be like, ooh, I see somebody eat some hot dogs. Nah, man. But hold on, just so I can clarify this. I understand that it's a cultural aspect of it, like going to different countries and understanding what spices they use and how they prepare their food and
Yeah,
what goes into it. Like, I mean, I get it. That's what it was about Anthony Bourdain. I think that's what people really enjoy. But ultimately,
right.
in the end, it's just, it's a person eating food and then telling you like, I can taste the cardamom. That's thirsty. That's wow.
Let me
These
ask you.
guys have cultivated the art of making food, right? Like it's just, but I think it's not bad. I'm just saying, I'm just not drawn to those shows. Like I don't necessarily sit down and watch them all.
You cook?
No.
That's there it is, dude. You're not the cook in the fam. You're not the cook. You don't cook ever.
I cook, not like you cook, like you chopped up and bunch of stuff. And I
Oh,
mean,
there
I
you go.
cook. Let me see
I
what I
don't cook
cook.
like you. You use knives.
Yeah,
You
exactly. I'm
chop
like,
stuff up.
you use olive oil, right? You put it in a bowl, you're using your hands, right? No, I cook. For me, dude, like I've always been, I'm that breakfast guy, man. Like seriously, if it was up to me, if I had the ability, I would literally make a huge breakfast every day. Like if I could, it'd be, and I don't really eat bacon and sausage or meat like that right now or anymore. But if I did, I would it would be like bacon, sausage, homemade biscuits, scrambled eggs, pancakes, right? Like maple, like top grade maple syrup, maybe a little bit of OJ,
Biscuits and gravy.
biscuits and gravy, maybe hash browns if you like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I would love, like, breakfast is it for me, man. I love making breakfast if I could.
Dude, I mean, I do miss like that's the thing. Whenever I go to a diner, I get that. I try and get variety, everything.
Yeah.
And then because I want to try it all. There's something about the sweet and the salty and the savory and
Yes.
whatever. But yeah, dude, there's a place here. And next time, if we ever get back to normal, House of Pies, and it's been around forever. It's great. And they had this big breakfast, and you got the eggs. You got like 3 eggs, any style you want. You got the home fries was my thing, but you could get any kind. Hash browns. I like hash browns too.
Okay.
But then you'd also get like you'd get what the hell was I gonna say? 3 meats, bro: bacon, ham, and sausage, and you get a Belgian waffle. And they have an actual Belgian waffle maker, so it's bomb waffles.
And you talk about man versus food.
Yo, I'm not forcing anybody to watch me eat it.
Except for the people sitting in the restaurant with you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at that guy.
Like it comes in and I go, look away, look away.
Oh, Bridesmaid, one of my favorite scenes from that movie, right? You're sitting there eating and people are like, oh my God. Right? They're like, this is going online.
Dude,
yeah, I love that scene, by the way.
It's
okay.
Amazing. I can dig it. You remember Anthony Hill? Last time Anthony Hill came down, I took him there, and he needed help leaving the restaurant.
Yeah. How is Anthony? Is he down there?
Yeah, poor bastard moved down here just in time for the pandemic, so he hasn't really. I don't know what he's been on. And he's moved hella far. He's on like the other side of the city. He was telling me when he was telling me when on that House of Pies trip, he told me he was going to move all the way out there. It's like past near Long Beach. And I was like, I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's kind of like LA, but I'm like, but I'll never see you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, why move to be outside of LA, right? Like to be that far
cheaper,
outside of
but I don't get it. But I don't know. I haven't talked to him since then. So
okay. What I was gonna say was for me, when I go out to eat breakfast, man, I've tried to like venture away from what I normally eat, right? To be like experimental. Oh, I'll try some type of different eggs. Nah, man, it always comes back to the same thing. It's either pancakes or French toast with scrambled eggs and sausage links. And that's it for me. Yeah, that's it for me. Like,
you like the sausage with the syrup?
Oh man, you said salty sweet.
Dude,
oh, that's my joint. Sal, that salty, that's my joint. Salty sweet. No,
that's true. I mean, it's such a pain. Like I'll cook breakfast, but I'm never gonna make all that at one time. That's why it's so fun to go out to a diner.
Right. But see, you gotta remember, man, growing up, my mom retired when I got to 8th grade. Right.
Wow.
So, or when I got to not 8th grade, but when I started high school, my mom retired. So she made breakfast, and she did this even before she retired. But every morning, and this is part of people that, you may know this and a couple others, but a lot of people don't know this, but dude, I woke up every morning to a big breakfast, like straight up. And I'm talking about like homemade biscuits or either the, pop the can biscuits, sausage, scrambled eggs, grits, right? Like that was like, that set the stage for the day, right? You get up and you got breakfast like that, man. You really feel like you can do anything, right? Your belly's full. You go to school, you can pay attention, man.
You can pay attention.
You can pay attention. You ain't got to worry about your stomach growling, being hungry, right? I hear people all the time talk about, I'm not a breakfast person. I don't do breakfast anymore. I go, look, that's like trying to start a long road trip on E, right? Like, why would you not fill up your tank to start your day, right? To start your trip, but whatever. That's my thing. So yeah, breakfast is my thing, man. Like,
have you learned to cook breakfast then from these encounters with your mother?
Yeah, I didn't learn how to cook the biscuits though.
Oh, dude, that's the best part.
I know. And my mom's biscuits were the best too. Like those little drop biscuits or whatever. And they'd be crumbly, but not too crumbly, but just like perfect, man. Yo, I'm gonna say right now, my mom used to cook so much that like literally, and it was just the two of us. It was just the two of us. But she cooked so much that if you showed up, there'd be enough for you. And then if you brought your brother and your sister, there'd be enough for them. And then if a neighbor was walking by outside, be like, hey, come on in and get something. Like, and then on top of all of that, then it would be enough for you to take some home with you.
Wow.
Like you could leave with food, man. My buddy Fred Douglas, which is funny. Once I got older, I learned who Frederick Douglass was, and I was like, "Oh, I got a friend named Fred Douglass." But my friend Fred Douglass used to come over all the time, man, and he would come over specifically in time to be able to eat breakfast, dude. Because
it's there early.
He would come over early, man. He knew that if he got there in time, that if like Miss Steele was gonna be like, "Fred, come on in, baby. You want to have something to eat?" He'd be like, and he'd always be like this. He'd be like, "Okay." He's like, man. Don't act like that ain't why you came over here, man. You know you came to get some breakfast, man.
You know what you're doing, Fred.
You know what you're doing. Just be like, I mean, I guess if I must, if you're gonna twist my arm, right?
And then he sits down like, all right, 3 biscuits, can get 4 sausage links, can I get some pancakes?
Exactly. This dude is sitting at our table wanting to lead the prayer. Everybody bow your heads. Lord, thank you for this food that Miss Steele has made for us today, Lord. Thank you. You were incredible, Lord. She's an incredible cook. Bless the hands that prepared this meal, Lord.
So if your mom got all this food, like, did you guys just have leftovers all the time?
You know what's funny, man, is I don't quite remember leftovers. I guess they were leftovers, but it was so good it didn't feel like leftovers. You know what I mean? Like it always felt like it was fresh and new. So we'd have food for a couple of days, obviously, but she would, okay, for example, if she cooked big on Monday, then on Tuesday I would have some of the leftovers from Monday, but she would cook still like new food. So
just keep it going.
Dude, it keeps it going. So it's not like, it's not like Monday, it's not like Tuesday I had the same exact meal that I had Monday. It was like Tuesday, I had a little bit of what I had Monday with something new on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I had what was left over from Tuesday with something new on Wednesday. So it always felt fresh. That's that old school down south, man. That's when they was, people, I put like this. That was back when, you guess, you say, I'm going to be hungry around 5 o'clock. So 3 o'clock, you start cooking, right?
You gotta prepare.
You got to prepare. Right. But, we live in a world now where it's like 5 o'clock, you get hungry at 4:55, everybody's like, oh man, I better put something in the microwave, heat something up real quick.
Right. Right. Slow. Something. Yeah. Taking your time and slow cooking is when it's really good though.
Exactly. And that's why I say that my mom, food was her way of expressing love.
Right.
Because that attention to detail, that time, that devotion, that commitment to creating the meals, cooking the meals, and this is where I think she did magic, right? She was a magician in the sense that she could cook a huge meal, right? Like, and what I'm about to run down is real, right? These are meals that I had. Now, Southern comfort food, obviously, but smothered fried chicken, pork chops, candy yams, rice, cornbread, black eyed peas, cabbage, spinach, lima beans, and peach cobbler with like sweet tea, right? Like I could have all of that. And the killing part was everything came out almost at the same time. Like it was.
Wait, that's one meal?
Dude, that's one meal. Everything is on the table.
2 meats on one meal?
Yes, we'd have 2 meats. We'd have 2 meats. All my friends growing up was like, yo, how you get so big? I'm like, yo, it's my mom's food, man.
2 meats?
Dude, 2 meats, man. 2 meats, man. I'm telling you. And everything on the table hot. Now, mind you, I'm sure that stuff was done before other stuff and she just kept it in the oven. But all I know is everything was on it. When it hit my plate, that joint was steaming, right?
Wow.
And it was and the cornbread was always like the black cast iron skillet cornbread where you had to flip the thing over and cut the slice. Oh my goodness, dude! And the smothered fried chicken, you pick it up. You
what
take
is that? Bite. Gravy, smothered in gravy.
Yeah, smothered in
Is it
gravy.
fried or no?
It's fried. It's fried, and then I guess she would add it to the gravy of some sort, and then she cover it up, and so it would kind of steam. So the fried the breaded part would absorb the moisture from the gravy, and then by the time she put on the plate, dude, you get up, you literally just suck the meat off and just pull out a straight up bone.
Slurping meats dude. At the Steel residence.
Slurping meats. We should make that a t-shirt. It's like, hey, watch Spitballin' where we slurping meats. Come slurp meats with Reggie and Sal. Dude, when I work with, go ahead.
I've never had chicken like that. Oh
man, when I work with John Witherspoon at the Stardome in Birmingham, I brought him a plate of food.
Really?
And man. And he was like, I mean, I swear to you, man, he was sitting there. He's like, like it was almost like the movie. He was like, man, your mama can throw down, man. She got that smothered fried chicken. Dude, he was eating everything. He was just in it, right? And my mom came to the show. And he was like, oh, I got to meet her. I got to meet your mama. They took a picture together. You know those pictures that he used to sell after the show?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, tell how he would advertise it at the end of the show.
This is how John Witherspoon would sell his shows, his pictures after the show. He said, at the end of his show, he said, I got t-shirts for $20, and we could take a Polaroid picture, and I put it in a little folder, $20. And he would put them together, right? He go, not 20, 20 and 20. Like it's $40. And the killing part, dude, it was a straight up Polaroid, like take the picture out. He would sign the bottom, or he'd already signed the folders that they go in. So he'd take the picture, slide it into the little folder, fold that joint up, and give it to people, and they would give him $20 for a Polaroid picture.
Wow.
So
good
he gave
for
my
him.
mom, yeah, really. He gave my mom her Polaroid for free.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, he gave it to her for free. So I was like, Mom, you got a deal. You didn't even know.
I remember I worked with Paul Mooney once at Cobb's, and
I worked with him too.
Yeah. At the last show, because he had family in Oakland, because I was working in San Francisco, and they came over on the final show, and they brought like all these bins of Southern food. And yeah, they brought it up to the green room, and he was like, hey, young brother, you want to go up there and have some food? Because I didn't want to intrude, but he invited me up, and then I just sat there and just listened and ate.
Dude, that's it. All right, I'm gonna tell you my Paul Mooney story real quick. So I worked with him. This was back when I was still opening, right? Yeah. It was me, W. Kamau Bell, and then Paul Mooney, right? Okay. And so when he got there, this is for us and for you even, this is Paul Mooney, right? The guy who wrote with arguably the best comedian of all time, or at least at some point was the best comedian of all time, one of the best, most influential, in Richard Pryor. Yeah. So we were like, yo, we're not, this is Sacramento. We're like, yo, we're not going to go into the green room. So, so we sat at the bar for the first show, just like, that's Paul Mooney's green room. We're going to respect his space and who he is. And he came out, he saw us sitting there after the first show. I guess we earned the right to get into the green room, and he was like, hey, fellas, you can come into the green room. It's not a big problem, not a problem, dude. And we were like, oh, okay, we just wanted to give you space. He's like, no problem. So we get in there, and what I realized is that he was like every other headliner where he just wants to talk, right? He don't need to, right? Yeah. He don't need to have a conversation, right? This ain't got to be a back and forth. He does not need to know your opinion about anything, right?
Well, that's every headliner.
That's every headliner.
Just let me talk.
Just let me talk. Just listen, right?
I'll say this. The first time headlined the Seattle, and I was like a club. It was 5 nights, 6, whatever, and everyone listened to me, and it was a weird feeling. And I was like, and I wasn't really feeling that well.
Oh, but you were headlining. You were headlining.
I was headlining. So anytime I would talk, people would stop and listen to you, and you're like, oh, that's what it feels like. No wonder those fuckers just keep going.
Well, shoot, if you're the headliner, every opening and feature and middle act is sitting there like, Are you gonna take me with you? Are you gonna take me with you?
Yeah, I
Can we go
want
on
your
the road?
spot. Yeah,
Right?
I
Like, can
want
I open
that.
for
Yeah.
you? So, except, you know who wasn't like that? I mean, it still isn't. Like Ian Bag and I, like we're good friends. So
Mhm.
Ian and I actually have like full conversations. But then obviously Ian and I've, we've been to Europe together. We've been to Canada. We've been back east. We've been down
Yeah.
south. We've been to Bay. So, and then there are other guys too, like Chad Daniels. He and I have a great time just talking. And then a handful of other dudes out there too. But so the thing with Paul Mooney was, and this is the funny part, is that he we realized he just wanted to talk, so we just listened. And he told this story. Like first he went off on Robin Williams and Sandra
Right.
Bernhardt, right? Because he felt like they didn't do enough to reach out to him. Like he felt like he'd given them their first television credits on the Richard Pryor show and kind of put them on the, not put them on the map, but help them out early. And so
Right.
later, when he felt like he needed something, they weren't necessarily there. But that's one side of the story. But the thing that cracked me up was he he tells the story. He said, he goes, my cousin called me from New York, and he says, "Hey, I got something funny to tell you. I think this is funny." And I said, I said, you don't tell me what's funny. I tell you what's funny. But go ahead. And his cousin goes, "I think it's funny that when I was young, I used to fuck fat chicks, right?" And Paul Mooney goes, "That's not funny. What's funny is when you were young, you used to fuck fat chicks. Now, now you're fat. It's contagious."
Oh, that's
Yeah, man.
funny, dude.
I had an epiphany about him too, watching him. Like it was a good experience. But when I realized, I'm not gonna get too deep into this because we could say this for another time, but he's always historically been the guy who's talked about race on stage to the point where people have like, we're not gonna listen to this, and white people storm out.
Yeah.
And I had a moment where I was sitting there watching him, and I was like, if you're really trying to improve race relations, do you do it on a comedy stage? Right? Like
Well, I mean, that's not
well,
our responsibility.
no, it's not our responsibility per se, but if your whole set is about the differences between race, and he takes it and he kind of approaches it from a standpoint of like, I'm they don't want the truth. I'm letting these motherfuckers know, right? Like he's
Mhm.
kind of like, I just had this moment, and it's fine, right? Everyone can do whatever they want to do, but we can talk about that some other time. As far as comedians, like, do we have some responsibility? Or like Dick Gregory was a comedian, but also he was like, yo, I'm an activist. And he realized that for his activism to really kind of take off, he needed to lead the stage. And then he actually went and ran for president and became a hardcore activist. So I guess the idea is like, is the comedy stage a place where you can actually try to, I don't know, bridge some gap or be informative in a certain way of like societal issues in a real way? Because ultimately, no matter what happens, and this is what I got with Paul, was that even if he's talking about serious racial disparities and differences and whatever else, ultimately in the end, he's trying to get the laugh because he's on a comedy stage.
Right.
Whereas if you're in an auditorium or if you're in a theater where you're talking about those things, the laugh is not necessarily as important as the actual,
The
content of
issue.
which the issue, right? So,
Right.
but we could talk about that some other time.
I mean, but I also though I think you could see it from his perspective, and even if he's like an angry, he's angry about it, and he's older, so he's seen real shit. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, just hearing him, from his perspective, even if, and I think that's what you're supposed to be made to feel uncomfortable, and that's what Paul Mooney did a
Right.
lot. Like he'd make the crowd, he would challenge him, and yeah, I mean, it's yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I asked him about Sanford and Son because I love that show,
Oh, yeah, it's a great show.
and he wrote on it. Him and Pryor wrote on the first season or two, and I was asking him about it, and he was just like, and he right there, I think he thought it was cool that like I was like, okay, he's asking about my work, they like, he likes to talk, he's like,
Yeah,
but he's like, yeah, they asked them over because they didn't have any black writers, and so they asked Richard and him, and they came along, and that first season's like amazing. It's great
yeah,
television. It's great.
yeah, yeah. He had one joke that I'll never forget that I thought was funny. But this, what I was gonna say was, I mean, at some point, No, okay. You know, I got to think about this because you're right. He lived during a time where he saw real racial disparities. I mean, he lived through Jim Crow, right? He lived through the civil rights movement. He's seen, black leaders get gunned down and killed, right? Like he saw the unity in the community, and then he saw the actual destruction and breakdown of those communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he comes from a different place as far as trying to express stuff. So I guess I can't. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna leave it because it's like, is it challenging or is it just, you white motherfuckers?
Well, hey man, here's the thing, though. I mean, he's been doing comedy 50 years, I mean,
Yeah.
the way he started, that doesn't always maybe adapt to the way society is now, but
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think my favorite was this. I gotta do this joke. It seems like every episode I do another comedian joke. Luckily, they're famous, or at least semi-famous. He does this joke where he goes,
well, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's out of respect. That's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He does this joke where he goes, a black guy's walking on the beach, and he finds a lamp, and he rubs the lamp, and the genie comes out, and the genie says, "You get 2 wishes." And the black guy goes, "I thought you got 3." He goes, "You're black, you get 2." He said, "Okay." He said, "Well, for the first wish," the black guy says, "I'd like for there to be peace around the whole world. I want black people and white people to get along." And the genie says, "That's impossible. I can't do that." Right? And he goes, "All right, well," he goes, "Oh shit, I messed up the joke. All right, we're gonna have to edit this part out."
No worries. Let me look at the times. Damn.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So he goes, a black guy's walking on the beach, and he finds a lamp. He rubs it. A genie comes out. The genie says, "You get 2 wishes." And he goes, "I thought you get 3." He goes, "You're black, you get 2." So first, the black guy says, "You know what? I want you to build a bridge from here to Africa so all the black people can go back to Africa." And the genie says, "That's impossible. Can't do that. Next wish." And then the black guy says, "Well, I want there to be peace between black people and white people." And the genie says, "How do you want that bridge? Wood or metal?"
Wood or metal.
Yo, I can't do that bridge. It's impossible. No one can do that. Well, can I get peace between black people and white people? How do you want that bridge? So
I mean, I can understand too him and being upset with cats that he gave their first start to, like Robin Williams and Bernhardt, and then they blew up in the 80s and 90s. And then really I got really reintroduced to him because of Dave Chappelle and the Chappelle Show. So
right. I watched his special years ago and it was funny. But I learned another thing too was I worked with this guy named Johnny Dark in Vegas at the what is it called? The River. I mean, what's the name of the casino?
Riviera.
Riviera, at the Riviera. And Johnny, we would, how it is in Vegas, right? It's 14 shows in 7 days, 2 shows a night. So every night after the late show, we would go have breakfast. It would be like 1 a.m, 2 a.m. or something. We go have breakfast at a little diner, and I would sit there and listen to Johnny Dark tell me all these stories. And we talked about Richard Pryor, and he said one of the things about Richard was that Richard really didn't like anybody else to be like, I hate to say this, but to be like successful around him, right? Like, there's an idea like Mooney was working with him, but if Mooney wanted to kind of go from under him to like pursue his own thing, Richard would like cut him off. You know what I mean? Right. So I guess Mooney made a choice. But yeah, he said Richard had a real dark energy and that he didn't really like, too many people around him like trying to do stuff. I even got that double down. I got that from John Witherspoon, because John said that he used to open for Richard in LA. Richard didn't necessarily like it, but he accepted it because John was kind of the guy at that point, right? At the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore loved him because that was back when they do impressions and he can sing and he can dance, he can do the whole shebang. He did all of it. So he would open for Richard. He said, I used to open for Richard and I would get standing ovations, right? I would kill it. And he goes, but Richard would never take me with him outside of LA, right? Yeah. Never. Like he accepted in LA because John was that dude, but to take him outside of that, he was like, nah. And even
I mean,
John
well,
said himself.
there's that some comics say that some people purposely get somebody not as headliners get someone not as that strong
Right,
to open for them, so it's not hard to follow.
right,
And then
right,
others would say they like to be challenged. And like, and then many times I've always learned, like, I love the respect game out of it. So like anytime if, you're the headliner, you've earned that spot, I'm going to show them respect. That's where I want to be. So yeah, you're like, anything I can't talk about. And almost all the cool ones are like, no, I don't give a shit. Say whatever.
right,
But
right.
the not cool ones will let you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, dude, you know my story,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right? My Cheryl Underwood story,
Now,
which I'm
listen, I don't
sure.
know, dude. Can you say all these names and Reggie trashing on everybody? Let's get to Reggie's like, let's get some drama. I mean, tell your stories. I love your
Hey man,
stories.
you know what? I'm not gonna tell that story right now. The Cheryl Underwood story.
We should
I'm
have
not
her
gonna.
on. Let's get her on, dude.
You know what's funny though? You know what's funny is that I honestly, at this point, like I don't have any resentment. Like I'm not even upset or mad about it. I'm almost kind of like amazed that it even happened, like the way it went down, like the things that happened.
Well, you could just
Um,
just just give a hint of what went down. You can't leave people hanging, Reg.
all right, basically, long story short, and maybe I'll tell the extended version on another episode, but on this one, I will simply say that as Sal just mentioned, some headliners will ask you not to talk about, you ask them if there's something you don't want to talk about, and others will be like, nah, it didn't matter. And then others would tell you not to. I was working with Cheryl Underwood at the San Jose Improv. Tina Allen was opening. She can confirm this story. Tina Gallo now. And I'll just say this. I did, as a feature, I go before the headliner, right? On the first show, I go before the headliner. That's just what it is. So after the show, Cheryl does her set. After the show, she calls me into the green room, the Star Green Room at the San Jose Improv, and she goes, a good feature would watch the headliner set and make adjustments to their set based on what the headliner talks about. And I said, well, is there something you don't want me to talk about? And she goes, oh, no. I would never tell you not to talk about anything. I'm just saying that a good feature would watch the headliner set and make adjustments to their set. And I was like, okay. And I thought about her set, and there was one crossover. There was one thing that we both mentioned.
What was that thing?
That thing was Alabama. I did 10 minutes. I did like probably 8 to 10 minutes about growing up in Alabama with my mom and my family, my relatives, all that stuff. And she did one joke about Condoleezza Rice being from Alabama.
Wow.
So based on that conversation, I took out that whole chunk, that whole 8 to 10 minutes of material.
Right. And that
and that's
solved
all
the
I'll
problem?
say. That's part 2 of the story. That's part 2. That's part 2. We'll get that another time. They got to come back.
Didn't you say Charlie Murphy once said, you talk about Obama? No, not anymore. I talk about Obama.
No. I didn't. With Charlie Murphy, I didn't have that experience. My experience with Charlie Murphy was, oh man, he just had his birthday, I think, just a couple of days ago. He just passed. It was the anniversary of his death or whatever. But you remember the first time I worked with Charlie, that was the time I got you the opening night. Yeah, opening spot. And I had worked with him in San Jose. I had worked with him in San Francisco, and I had worked with him in Sacramento. And I ain't smoke. You know me. I'm square. I don't smoke. I don't drink. And I remember one time after a show, his manager was his manager, road manager, Rich. I think it was Rich. Now, I don't know if this is exactly what happened, right? Like, I don't know if this is why this happened, but us working together, it was always fun, right? And I have stories that he told me that I could share, but I'm not, God bless the dead or whatever. I ain't gonna share those stories. But we would talk after, like, during the shows, after the show. I felt like we had great rapport. Except one time at Cobb's, and you know how it is at Cobb's. After the show, everyone's standing there, everyone's passing by, and you're saying goodbye to people. I'm standing there, and you know how I'm like, people walking by like, man, you were great. That was funny, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody said that joint, somebody threw out, we liked you more than we like blah blah blah. And then I was like, oh no, everybody's great, to each his own, right? I'm like, to each his own. It's not, there's no better and worse or anything like that, right? And I look over and I see Rich, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making this up. He looked at me and he was like, okay. And then he walked right upstairs to the green room at Cobb's.
Oh
no. Right? Now, mind you, this is at Cobb's. I finish out the week. Whatever time passes, 6 months, 9 months, or whatever, Tom Sawyer was booking it. Tom Sawyer calls me again to open for Charlie Murphy, right? And I end up talking to Molly, who was, the booker live for Punchline, Live Nation, or what have you. And I tell her, I go, yeah, Tom Sawyer just called me to open for Charlie Murphy. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, that's interesting because Charlie Murphy and his people specifically asked that you not be on the show. I was like, what? Like, really? We worked together like 3 or 4 times. It's always been great. And then I thought about that one incident. I was like, oh, somebody lost me some work. So you know who ended up getting that? You know who ended up getting that week? I called Tom, and I called Tom myself, and I said, hey Tom, I just got word that Charlie doesn't want me on the week. Like, he doesn't like me or whatever. He doesn't want me on the week. And I said, who I think would be great is Julian Vance.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so, yeah. So Julian Vance got that week.
Oh, nice.
And that was, yeah. And so that's my Charlie Murphy story. There's
I want to say
other stories.
Because I don't know how many times he did Cobb's, but it was actually not long after I got to open with you guys at San Jose that then I went and hung out with him at Cobb's, just in the green room, and everyone was getting high, and it was fucking fun. And I'll never forget this. He there's a group he's an entourage of people in there, and he like lets out this huge belch, like huge, and everybody's just like quiet, and he just goes, well, good thing I'm the man. I was like, only he can get away with that.
Only he can get away with it. What's funny is that last time I worked with him at Cobb's, who was on that week? It was Freeze Love. I was opening. Freeze Love or Paul Farmer was featuring, and then it was Charlie. But by that time, because the first time I worked with him, remember, I was featuring. There's another opener,
San Jose,
right? And so he and Farmer, Freeze Love, had hooked up, and that became like a thing. Like, they were smoking out all the time. Like, it got to the point that I wouldn't even go into the green room because I don't smoke. I mess around, get a contact high, get on stage, and forget everything, right? So that actually happened to me.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I worked with Brandon T. Jackson in Phoenix one time at Stand Up Live, I think it's called. And he had some friends come by, and they were smoking in the green room, and they were smoking sativa or whatever it is, a strand. Yo, I was in the room, like, it's a nice green room, but this joint got filled up, Sal. Like I felt like, what's that cartoon where it's like the PJs where the dude, he smokes so much that he walks around like from his waist up, he's just a cloud of smoke. You ever see that? Like, that's how I felt in that room. I felt like the smoke had gone down, like it was below my chest. And I was sitting there, I was like, yo, man, what is this smell? And they was like, oh, this is sativa. I was like, yo, I got to get out of here. So I go outside, go talk to myself, right, to get ready for my set, because the opener's about to come off. And the way I had to go through the green room to get on stage, right? Mm-hmm. So the opener does his thing, introduces me. I walk back through there. I walk on stage, and I get out on stage, dude, and I'm talking, and I realize that while I'm talking, I'm also thinking and talking to myself, right? So my mouth is moving, but my head is like, man, what the hell was they smoking? This shit got me fucked up. Like, I was tripping to the point that I was in the process of doing a bit, and I was like, oh my God, this joke is about to end. This is dialogue in my head. I was like, this joke is about to end. My mouth is still moving, and I was like, I don't know what's next. Like, I was like, I have no clue what the next joke is right now. And people are laughing, and I'm seriously, and I was like, yo.
Are you telling the crowd?
No, I wasn't saying, that was all in my head. So my mouth was still saying the jokes. And then I even acknowledged, I was like, how am I able to have dialogue in my head and still talk to people, right? And what ended up happening was the joke ended. and somehow muscle memory or whatever, I just segued into the next joke. And in my head, I was like, like, I was like, oh my goodness, dude.
You got light ass. That's lightweight, Reg.
Yeah, that's
that's a contact buzz.
That's a contact buzz, dude. And I've never been high, except I guess now that time. So I walk off. I finish my set. I walk into the green room and I go, what the hell is that you guys are smoking, man? I was out there. I couldn't even. I was talking to myself while I was talking to people, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you got a contact high."
So you never smoked.
I did. I tried one time when AJ got married. We went to when he got engaged. He had a bachelor party in Vegas, right? And this is like in our 30s, somewhere in our early 30s. I told him, I said, look, I've never smoked before, but for your bachelor party, I will. Yes.
Cool.
I was like, for your bachelor party, AJ, I'm gonna go ahead and try this thing, man. So we're sitting in the suite. It's like 13 of us. It was deep, right? They roll up, whatever, and that joint come to me. Now, mind you, I don't smoke, but I've seen people smoke. Like I can mimic anybody in anything, right? So I take that joint. I'm like, I'm doing all the stuff I've seen in the movies, right?
For the podcast, people can't see you, bro. So I got to say,
okay, all right. So I take a deep toke. Fill my mouth up all puffy, take that joint down into my lungs, and then like try to make little circles when I let it out, right? And I did that. I took like 3 deep tokes, right? To the point that people was like, "Hey man, pass the bud, man," right? So I'm like, "All right, man, hold up." Right, I pass it off, and then I'm like, mouth full of smoke, and I let it out. Dude, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Everybody else in the room, eyes is red, dudes is feeling good, everybody's high, except me.
Wow.
Nothing.
They say that sometimes on the first time that happens.
Yeah, it happened to me.
Nothing, huh? You didn't hear it when it came back around? That you got to keep hitting.
I hit it again when it came back around. Nothing. Everybody else in the room straight up lit.
Interesting.
Lit, laughing, having a good old time.
That's even worse. It's not being higher than everyone else is. I can't stand the worst when people are drunk around you and you're just like, shut up.
Oh, dude, it's nothing worse than to be around somebody who's drinking and you're not drinking. It is the absolute worst. It's the worst.
I remember Reggie's lightweight drinking too. Like you'll have like a cranberry juice, cranberry vodka or something, and you're like, oh man, oh, oh, it's a big one. It's coming, Elizabeth.
Yeah, man, I'm a lightweight. All I drink is water and almond milk, man. That's all I drink, water and almond milk. So if I do drink something, I can feel it. I feel it immediately, right? So we can get into some drinking stories at some other time too. I don't have a bunch of them. I got a couple here and there.
All right, well, I was going to talk about. I'll go ahead.
Hold on. Let me just say this. I will say this: when we left that spot, when we left the suite and got to the club, I had one drink, and that drink hit me quicker than yeah. So I was thinking maybe the bud has something to do with that, but you know how, because club drinks can be a little light. This is a strip club. Well, no, this is a strip club. Yeah, strip club drinks are light. So yeah, they hit me kind of harder than it normally does. And I was thinking, oh, maybe that's it. But so okay, forget that. This is what I want to do, because people love food talk. People love food talk. They love to hear about people's recipes and everything else. So we got to get back to your sauce.
The sauce, huh? Well, this is the first time I ever did. Did you like the San Marzano tomato commercial? Did you like that little music I put in there?
Dude, it was great. It was great. The music was just a bit loud, though. You could probably take it.
Was too loud. I lowered it down. It was still too loud.
It was but it was good. I think we were good, though. I think we nailed it personally. and I think today for our commercial, we should do.
We're gonna do it again.
We're gonna do our Yeti, not the same one. We're gonna do I think we should do our Yeti microphones. But we can cover that later.
I still have my box.
Hold up.
Oh yeah, it's funny. You got look, dude. We could like bring race relations together, black and the white.
How about that? You got the white box, I got the blue box. Look at that. All right, we'll do our commercial later. But yeah, let's get to the sauce talk, man. I want to hear about your sauce. I want to hear about what you made.
This is the first time I used those tomatoes after watching Stanley Tucci on CNN go to that region. And
so it worked. The show actually worked. You went and bought it based on the show.
Oh, totally. Well, I remember seeing those cans ever since I was a youngin. You know, they'd pack them in the yellow can.
Well, let me ask you this: do you watch you know, those infomercials at 3 o'clock in the morning and buy that stuff too?
That's different than buying a can of tomatoes cooked with.
You're like, you're like, I need that remote control holder and charger / mirror. Okay, good.
Well, they say these are like sweeter. And I mean, you gotta it is more tomatoey. So like you were asking about the sauce earlier, I've done that with like Prego and stuff, but you got to add stuff. You add meat, you add the veggies, you know what I mean? Right. So with the tomato cans, you just get the tomato cans, tomato paste, and then you make that process yourself. You just have to let it cook longer so that all can blend together. I mean, you know, so that's why it's got to be like 2 to 4 hours. So,
and that's on low heat, obviously, like a
simmer.
Yeah, well,
yeah, you don't want to burn it, so you got to simmer basically.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, you start with the mirepoix. Or the
what is that exactly?
That is
mirepoix.
Or the let me see, I have it. The Italian version is called Sofrito, but it's basically just the carrots, onions, and celery. Chop that up. You put that in the olive oil. You let that cook up. Now,
wait, no garlic?
Well, not yet. Garlic cooks faster. Okay. So, but yeah. So then everything asks for garlic. Too much garlic can mess with my stomach. So like I use garlic powder.
Sal has IBS.
Yeah, I have all of it. Spicy. Like that's the thing. Whenever I watch these cooking shows and watch these people go to town on dairy, I'm like, oh, that would kill me. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Me too. You know, I'm lactose intolerant, so
yeah,
I feel you.
So yeah,
okay,
you can't mess with that. So then, well, here I got a little solution for you on that. So you get all that. You put in your veggies. The next time I'm going to do meat because I think meat adds flavor to it. Like you can do pork. You can do. People like to do pork and beef.
Okay.
A little fancy, you know. I'm not having the Pope over, so I'll just do, you know, the ground beef. But then once you get all that a little browned up and cooked, then you add the tomatoes. Then you add a little. Sometimes you can do a little water. You get the tomato paste. You let it all mix, and then you basically just wait. Keep it on low, 2 hours. Let it all simmer together. And then bada bing, bada boom, throw some basil in at the end. And then my new thing is just throwing all the noodles into the sauce so it all sticks. Make sure the noodles are got a little olive oil on it.
Right.
That will stick to it. And you got to have bread too, bro.
Got to have bread. What kind of bread though?
Italian loaf, baby. I'll do a French baguette. I don't do sourdough.
Okay.
Once in a while, but
what about olive bread? I love olive bread. Olive bread with some balsamic vinegar and olive oil with a little salt.
I always get the plate with the olive oil and then the balsamic on top.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so basically this meal that you've created, this is not a hungry at 5 o'clock and start cooking at 4:45. Like you gotta start at like 3.
No, you need a couple hours. I mean, this is like a real bolognese sauce is when you have the beef with all those veggies. But the other day I put in some zucchini, onions, good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Dude, maybe we should make a segment called a minute with Sal. Like a cooking moment.
I'll give a little cooking moment. There's a cooking moment.
Yeah, we can have a cooking moment. And next, our cooking minute with Sal. And then boom.
If anyone has any cooking questions, they could submit them.
Yes, exactly.
I've been getting into vegetarian more. I got vegetarian cookbooks. I've been doing that more. And there's good stuff out there. You can make some pretty good stuff.
Dude, I've been eating. I went vegan during the pandemic. Like completely.
Really?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. And then just recently, like it happened early during the pandemic. and it lasted all of 2020 into probably early.
Why did you do that?
I saw this show on Netflix called Game Changers, and it just made sense to me. Like I literally was just like, look, and I'm not gonna get all deep into this, but I've had like I had a friend of mine pass away from heart disease. I mean, my senior year in college, one of my suite mates. So once you experience that at 21 and you see another young person pass away, then I was like, yo, what is heart disease about? And how does that happen? And how do you prevent it? And so you start finding out about the effects of red meat and some other things and how they affect your heart and your body. And so after that, for years, I just cut back on red meat consumption. So I went straight to like just straight chicken and turkey, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so, people always been saying for years, pork make you mean, right? Like pork is supposed to be all bad for you. So yeah. So then I watched this show, Game Changers, and it's not even necessarily an advertisement for veganism or vegetarianism. It was literally about this guy who was an athlete, a world-class athlete who got injured, and he was trying to figure out the best way for his body to heal, right? And the quickest way for him to recover. And in the process of trying to figure that out, he started doing all his research about food and how it affects the body and what nurtures, like how does it nurture your body to repair and to grow and to perform at a high level. And what he realized was that the people who were doing the best, living the longest, having the healthiest lives without illness and sickness and everything else didn't have meat in their diet. And then he starts talking about all the animals, like all the big animals, right? The elephants, the rhinoceroses, the hippos, the gorillas, the strongest animals, they're all herbivores, right? Right. And then you talk about, and then what's funny is, and this one made the most sense to me, was he goes, everyone talks about, you got to have red meat. You need to have beef. It makes you strong. Everyone eats cows, but cows eat grass, right? So it's like the protein that you think you're getting from the meat, you can just bypass the third. It's like skip the third person, right? Like not the third person, but the middleman. Skip the middleman.
Third cow.
Skip the third cow, right? So it was all about getting the protein from the veggies versus the actual animal. You know what I mean? It's like it's a lower form. And then if you got to watch it, man, because he goes into other stuff. Like he does blood tests, he does all these things. He finds people that are just phenomenal, and you see them and you go, wow, they're able to accomplish all that without meat. So then I was like, all right, let me just see. And I cut the meat out, and to be honest with you, man, I don't miss it. Like now I'll have meat because I'm not hardcore. Like I'm not like I need to be meat is wrong. But I can easily, I haven't had bacon in probably at this point, probably a year.
Yeah, it's like all in moderation, I feel.
Exactly.
Like, and even like if you look, like a lot of Asian cultures live very long. And if you look at their diet, like they people have meat, but in other countries they have
small
meat
portions.
like just on the side. Yeah.
It's a small portion.
Where here it's the main thing to us. And then when
here in the States, people feel like if there's no meat, it's not a meal. I mean, I grew up like that in the South. That's how it was. Like, it's like, it's not a meal if you don't have meat, but meat. And you look at everybody, if you look at people's bodies, man, and you look at their faces, you look at their skin, you look at everything, it's all based on what we put in our bodies, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have 2 meats a meal, so maybe it's good you cut back a little.
But to my benefit, my mom would get all of our food from, at this point, it wasn't called a farmer's market. Then it was just called the farm. So basically you had all these farmers who would come to this one area and literally open up the back of their trucks and sell the food to people, which is now modern day farmers markets. But at that time, we used to drive to this place to go get all this stuff fresh from the field. I didn't eat it growing up. I didn't eat anything out of a box or a can, except for maybe the cornbread, the Jiffy cornbread mix.
Yeah. We get that all the time. That's Southern special, the Jiffy cornbread.
But outside of that, man, everything else came from, like, you had to knock the dirt off that joint. You had to, you know what I'm saying? Get the bugs off.
So wait, would your mom like bring the actual pig and you to go back there and slaughter it? And no, my grandma used to do that. She used to kill chickens in the farm in Sicily, and then they'd run around with their heads off and shit.
Really? Well, okay. I lived in a city, for one, right? I was in Alabama, but I was in a city.
Birmingham, a city.
Birmingham, it's a city. So, but I do remember my next door neighbor, Uncle Pip. Uncle Pip brought some. He grew up in the country, and he brought some chickens to the house one time. So I remember in his backyard next to ours, he had about 3 chickens back there. And this is the first time I ever seen anything like this. He would do one or two things. Either he would grab the chicken, he'd grab him by the head, and he'd go, pop, right?
Oh my God.
Straight up, pop, right? It's a wrap. Or he grabbed the chicken before they, he just grab him, he'd sit him there and just set him down, and then swap, and then the body would get up and run around. And I was just like, as a kid, you go, like, oh, and then he plucked the feathers.
And you'd eat it that night? Would that mess you up?
No, I didn't. He was my neighbor. I didn't eat it. He would cook it over there. I didn't, Yeah, that would be kind of weird to see the thing alive and then chop his head off, pluck the feathers, gut it, and then later be like, here, have some chicken. Like
I like we're gonna have a nice little cooking section, and then you start going into the slaughter.
My bad. So it's a moment with Sal, right? A moment with Sal, and then a harsh moment with Reg. Right?
Yeah. Cooking with Sal and slaughtering with Reg.
There you go. Cooking with Sal and slaughtering with Reg. So yeah, man, I didn't eat meat, and I just started back probably in the last month or so. I was like, I have a little bit here, right? But we can get into that later. But yeah,
they ultimately try to replace protein with beans a lot in a lot of recipes I got. But beans, man, beans do their job.
They definitely do, especially when you first start.
Beans let you know.
They hit you quick. They hit you out the gate. They let you know, yeah, we about to. But having the high fiber diet and getting your greens in, man. And I'll be honest with you, man. When I stopped eating meat, dude, I felt great. And I'm talking about like I slept better. I felt better in my body. I didn't have my joints felt good. Like it reduces inflammation, right? Because a lot of times all these foods, create inflammation. So you get soreness in your joints, right? And the other one, the biggest one, is that I didn't feel bloated. Like there were times that you have dinner and you get up and you just feel like you feel stuffed, right? Like you just like you just want to sit down and just let your food digest. Dude, I could eat like those vegan meals. I get them from Thistle. Maybe we should do a Thistle commercial. But I would get Thistle, these meals that I would prepare myself. They send me the food and I just cook it, warm it up. Dude, I would be full without being bloated.
Yeah.
Full without being lethargic. Full without needing to feel like I need to take a nap. Right.
Yeah, I'll get that with a lot of like the vegetarian meals I make. And I also learn like the spices you use make a difference, like smoked paprika. Oh, I love me some smoked paprika.
Yeah.
And cumin and turmeric, all that.
Is it Cuban? I thought it was cumin.
Cumin. That's what I said.
I thought you said Cuban. I thought you said Cuban. Cuban, like the country. I was like, you eating Cubans now, Sal? You gotta eat. I don't care how good they taste, man. You can't be eating Cubans, man. Yo, man, for real though, I think you should watch Game Changers, and then we can talk about it.
Go.
And now a word from our wannabe sponsors.
Hey, Reg, whenever I hear you on that Spitballin podcast, you have such a smooth, silky voice. What are you recording that on?
Well, Sal, I'm glad you asked. I use the Yeti to record. Yes, the Yeti. The Yeti is one of the most advanced and versatile multi-pattern USB microphones available anywhere. Combining 3 capsules and 4 different pattern settings, the Yeti is the ultimate tool for creating amazing recordings directly to your computer. Delivering exceptional sound and performance, the Yeti can capture anything with a clarity and ease unheard of in a USB microphone.
Well, Reg, hey, Reg, does it come in a variety of colors?
Well, Sal, actually, it comes in navy blue, which is the one that I have, right? And I noticed that yours is also white. So,
more silver.
There you go. Or silver. You have silver and I have blue. So, you got some colors to choose from. Yeti, it's the way to go if you want to record.
All right. Yeah. Well, why'd you go back, dude, to eating meat?
For one, I feel like the meals were a little they were just expensive. They started to add up.
Yeah, that's
Right.
my biggest problem with the whole health movement is how they overcharge. Like, how are you gonna charge me for fucking leaves that much money? Like,
Well,
when did
it's
salads surpass burgers? They take
well,
advantage of the system, my friend.
but you got to remember too, though, if you're trying to do it right, like this is organic stuff, right?
Still,
Like
still,
it
you
takes,
don't need to
dude.
put any poison on it, so you should be saving money.
Well, you got to make sure, since you're not using poison, you're not using Roundup, right? You're not giving people cancer, right? It's like I can either give you cheap food that will kill you, right? Or I can give you good food that won't, but it takes me longer or more time for me to make sure that it's fresh and healthy for you, right?
Right.
So
I mean, I
that's what it
try to
was.
do that. I always try and get the organic meat and the organic veggies. My friend taught me, my buddy Monad, he was organic. He's on an
Okay.
organic company, but he
Yeah.
always said, he's like, the closer it is to the ground and the less protection the food has, the better to get organic.
Mm-hmm.
So like a banana, you could get regular bananas because they got that thick ass skin. No pesticide is messing with the banana,
Okay.
but something like a strawberry, it has no cover. You're eating that right
Yep.
off the
It
thing. It's
absorbs
best to
everything.
get, yeah.
Yeah.
Strawberries specifically, they say it's better to get organic, but
Organic.
then sometimes like that shit goes rotten quick.
It does. No, but see, that's the thing. See, I'm glad you said that, because this is the thing about fresh food. Fresh food is meant to be eaten, right?
Right, quickly, yeah.
Yeah, it's meant to be eaten. If you got stuff that's got a long shelf life, then the thing that's keeping that thing preserved, right?
Right,
The preservatives, the chemicals, that's going in your body.
right,
And that's what
right,
I'm trying not to do, right?
right.
Like, yeah, I'm like, yo, if it's fresh, you got to eat it. It's meant to
Right.
be consumed, right? If it's got a long shelf life, you probably don't want to eat it because there's something keeping it from rotting or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
So
No, that's true.
yeah.
Hi,
So
buddy. Well,
yeah.
look, we did
All
an
right.
hour, dude. We're good.
Oh, dude, but we didn't even get to. All right.
I guess we'll have to do it next week.
All right, sounds good. Oh, but hold on, let me just say this too. The other thing about the why I went back to eating meat. Only thing that happened was I didn't necessarily say I'm going back to eating meat. I just decided not to get the thistle meals, right? And so in the process of not getting the thistle meals, that just meant that I was just more open to having meat as an option. Like I still don't eat a lot of meat, even now with the meals that I'll fix myself, right? Like if I fix lentils and rice, right? Or not necessarily salad, but it may be pasta with pesto sauce and but I use like fake meat, right? Like right now I'll cook for breakfast, I'll do like the Morningstar sausage links, which is all veggie, which are really
Yeah.
good. And and I'll have, I don't know. Actually,
I
I'll
don't
do
like, what
eggs.
I don't like is that
So
fake meat that they got. That stuff is not
you got to find the right ones.
Beyond Meat. They say the amount of fat they put in that anyway. I'd rather make veggie burgers. Like I make veggie patties sometimes.
Okay, I like veggie burgers. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make my own.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm just more open to having it as an option, but I don't necessarily seek it out. I still haven't had bacon. I still haven't had bacon
it's
over
funny.
a
The
year
last
now.
time I had bacon is I cut it up and put it in with my Brussels sprouts.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good.
Brussels sprouts, dude. I love Brussels sprouts with you bake them with walnuts, and then
Oh,
if
I
you
never tried that with
yeah, and you
walnuts.
get a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette to put on them, just a little
Yeah, yeah,
drizzle.
yeah.
Woo.
Sometimes a little honey.
Oh, honey, that's new. I
Yeah,
ain't
a little
tried that
something,
one.
something, a little something. Look at all
Okay, all right,
these
all
perks
right.
for giving people. All
Yeah,
right, well,
really.
cool, Reg. This is a good ep.
Yes, sir.
I have a lot of editing to do.
Yeah, yeah. All
But
right.
all right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Spitballin with Sal and Reggie.
All
And
right, peace.
yeah, take care. Peace.